The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. Chapter 7 Queer Lodgings Part 4. It was a full morning when he awoke. One of the dwarfs had fallen over him in the shadows where he lay, and had rolled down with a bump from the platform on the floor. It was Bofur, and he was grumbling about it when Bilbo opened his eyes. "Get up, lazy bones," he said, "or there will be no breakfast left for you." Up jumped Bilbo. "Breakfast!" he cried. "Where is breakfast?" "Mostly inside us," answered the other dwarfs, who were moving about the hall. "But what is left is out on the veranda. We have been about looking for Bjorn ever since the sun got up, but there is no sign of him anywhere, though we found breakfast laid as soon as we went out." "Where is Gandalf?" asked Bilbo, moving off to find something to eat as quick as he could. "Oh, out and about somewhere," they told him. But he saw no sign of Wizard all that day until the evening. Just before sunset, he walked into the hall, where the hobbit and the dwarfs were having supper, waited on by Beyond's wonderful animals as they had been all day. Of Beyond, they had seen and heard nothing since the night before, and they were getting puzzled. "Where is our host, and where have you been all day yourself?" they all cried. "One question at a time, and none till after supper. I haven't had a bite since breakfast." At last Gandalf pushed away his plate and jug. He had eaten 2 whole loaves with masses of butter and honey and clotted cream, and drunk at least a quart of mead, and he took out his pipe. "I will answer the second question first," he said. "But bless me, this is a splendid place for smoke rings." Indeed, for a long time they could get nothing more out of him. He was so busy sending smoke rings, dodging around the pillars of the hall, changing them into all sorts of different shapes and colors, and setting them at last chasing one another out of the hole in the roof. They must have looked very queer from outside, popping out into the air one after another. Green, blue, red, silver grey, yellow, white, big ones, little ones dodging through big ones and joining into figure eights and going off like a flock of birds into the distance. "I have been picking out bear tracks," he said at last. "There must have been regular bears meeting outside here last night. I soon saw that Beyond could not have made them all. There were far too many of them, and they were of various sizes too. I should say there were little bears, large bears, ordinary bears, gigantic big bears, all dancing outside from dark to nearly dawn. They came from almost every direction except from the west over the river from the mountains. In that direction only one set of footprints led. None coming, only ones going away from here. I followed these as far as the Karok. There they disappeared into the river, but the water was too deep and strong beyond the rock for me to cross. It is easy enough, as you remember, to get from this bank to Karok by the ford, but on the other side is a cliff standing up from the swirling channel. I had to walk miles before I found a place where the river was wide and shallow enough for me to wade and swim, and then miles back again to pick up the tracks again. By the time it was too late for me to follow them far, they went straight off in the direction of the pine woods on the east side of Misty Mountains, where we had our pleasant little party with the Wargs the night before last. And now I think I have answered your first question too, ended Gandalf, and he sat along while silent. Bilbo thought he knew what the wizard meant. What shall we do? He cried. If he lets all the wargs and the goblins down here, we shall all be caught and killed. I thought you said he was not friend of theirs. So I did. And don't be silly. You had better go to bed. Your wits are sleepy. The hobbit felt quite crushed, and as there seemed nothing else to do, he did go to bed. And while the dwarfs were still singing songs, he dropped asleep, still puzzling his little head about beyond, till he dreamed a dream of hundreds of black bears dancing slow, heavy dances round and round in the moonlight in the courtyard. Then he woke up when everyone else was asleep, and he heard the same scrapping, scuffling, snuffling, and crawling as before. Next morning they were all wakened by Bjorn himself. So here you are all still, he said. He picked up a hobbit and laughed. Not eaten up by wargs or goblins or wicked bears yet, I see. And he poked Mr. Baggins's waistcoat most disrespectfully. Little bunny is getting nice and fat again on bread and honey. He chuckled. Come and have some more. So they all went to breakfast with him. Bjorn was most jolly for a change. Indeed, he seemed to be in a splendidly good humor and set them all laughing with his funny stories. Nor did they have to wonder long where he had been or why he was so nice to them, for he told them himself. He had been over the river and right back up into the mountains, from which you can guess that he could travel quickly in bear shape at any rate. From the burnt wolf glade, he had soon found out that part of their story was true. But he had found more than that. He had caught a warg and a goblin wandering in the woods. From these he had got news. The goblins' patrols were still hunting with wargs for dwarfs, and they were fiercely angry because of the death of Great Goblin, and also because of the burning of Chief Wolf's nose, and the death from Wizard's fire of many of his chief servants. So much they told him when he forced them, but he guessed there was more wickedness than this afoot, and that a great raid of whole goblin army with their wolf allies into the lands shadowed by the mountains might soon be made to find the dwarfs, or to take vengeance on the men and creatures that lived there and who they thought must be sheltering them. It was a good story, that of yours, said Bjorn, but I like it still better now. I'm sure it is true. You must forgive me for not taking your word. If you lived near the edge of Mirkwood, you would take the word of no one that you did not know as well as your brother, or better. As it is, I can only say that I have hurried home as fast as I could to see that you were safe and to offer you my help that I can. I shall think more kindly of dwarfs after this. Killed the great goblin, killed the great goblin. He chuckled fiercely to himself. What did you do with the goblin and the warg? Asked Bilbo suddenly. Come and see, said Bjorn, and they followed round the house. The goblin's head was stuck outside the gate, and Warg's skin was nailed to a tree just beyond. Bjorn was a fierce enemy, but now he was their friend, and Gandalf thought it is wise to tell him their whole story and the reason of their journey, so that they could get the most help he could offer. This is what he promised to do for them. He would provide ponies for each of them and a horse for Gandalf for their journey to the forest, and he could lead them with food to last them for weeks with care and packed so as to be as easy as possible to carry. Nuts, flour, steel jars of dried fruits, and red earthenware pots of honey and twice baked cakes that would keep good a long time and on the little of which they could march far. The making of these was one of his secrets, but honey was in them as in most of his foods, and they were good to eat, though they made one thirsty. Water, he said, they would not need to carry this side of forest, for there were streams and springs along the road. But your way through Mirkwood is dark, dangerous, and difficult, he said. Water is not easy to find there, nor food. The time is not yet come for nuts, though it may be past and gone indeed before you get to the other side. And nuts are about all that grows there fit for food. In there, the wild things are dark, queer, and savage. I will provide you with skins for carrying water, and I'll give you some bows and arrows. But I doubt very much whether anything you find in Mirkwood will be wholesome to eat or to drink. There is one stream there I know, black and strong, which crosses the path, that you should neither drink of nor bathe in, for I have heard that it carries enchantment and a great drowsiness and forgetfulness. And in the dim shadows of the place, I don't think you will shoot anything wholesome or unwholesome without straying from the path. That you must not do for any reason. That is all advice I can give you. Beyond the edge of the forest, I cannot help you much. You must depend on your luck and your courage and the food I send with you. At the gate of the forest, I must ask you to send back my horse and my ponies. But I wish you all speed, and my house is open to you if ever you come back this way again.